Yay! Wait, let me just check, make sure it's working. Starting soon. Let's make sure it's working. Let's make sure. Let me just refresh real quick. Excitement! Yay! All right, let me just. Starting soon. It's probably because. All right, you know what? Let's just talk.
Okay.
Anyway, yes. So this is the first virtual book club live event. I'm super excited. Super excited. And we are reading, or we read, hopefully, not all of us, but most of us, hopefully, read this book. Yay! 5-star sessions. Awesomeness. Yay! Oh my god, I love that everyone has like the physical version of it. That's awesome. That's perfect. Yeah. So that's great. So did everybody finish the book? Let's do a quick.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyone else?
No.
No.
Okay.
But not for lack of interest, just like it's so intense. So
yeah,
like you sit down and you're like, okay, I just read like 3 chapters, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
But like in a good way.
No, I know that's kind of like what I thought when I was starting to read it. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do it because I read the desire map and I finished that in maybe a couple of days because I just like sat down for this like intense session. And I was like, I'm just gonna read all of it. I like meditated before, so I was like in the zone. And then this is like even more intense because it talks about so many different topics. I feel like so. It was definitely harder to just like bang it out.
Yeah, I read the desire map second, and it's you ever like finish a book and then think that you and the author were like meant to be? So.
Oh my god, I know.
I was like, we're like best friends now.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. It's like crazy how much I could relate to everything she was saying. Like, not everything, but like a lot of stuff. I was just like, she's in my mind and she's in my head. Like, it's crazy. But anyway, I feel like we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. So before we, continue talking, let's all go, one by one, introduce ourselves so everyone knows who they're even talking to here, and then we can start. So I'll start. My name is Kamila Gornia. I am a holistic business coach, and I work with passion-driven solopreneurs to get their mission and message into the world. I'm also a social media strategist, photographer, and a wellness blogger. That's me. Wants to continue. Tina.
Hi, my name is Tina White. I'm a CPA, and I love helping small businesses with their accounting software and setting up like pricing strategies and just overall operations to help them grow their business.
Yay, awesome. All right, Lori.
I am Lori Streator. I own and write Breakthrough Mind and Body, and I work in holistic fitness, so I really focus on physical fitness and nutrition and self-development, so this book was right up my alley.
All right, Irina.
I'm Irina Privet. I'm a writer of Language Catalyst, the blog, and also helping people or coaching people who are trying to get settled abroad into their new lives. So I want to point out that it's 3:34 a.m. here. So if I'm a little bit like close-eyed.
Where are you?
I'm in Finland.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Get true fire starters and then a group. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I kind of want to just see, what did you guys think overall of the book? I know we kind of dove into this already, but what were your thoughts in general?
It's so jam-packed with things that I feel like if I read it 4 times, I still wouldn't get all of it. Like you could probably read it through once and then just start opening it up to different pages and be like, what do I need to learn today or remember today? Because there's like, look at my copy.
Oh my god, yeah.
Little tabs everywhere. So Like,
Yeah,
definitely in a good way. At the same time, I'm like a little bit overwhelmed because I'm like, how am I going to retain all of this information?
Right,
Even though
right.
it's familiar, but I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, so when I started reading and I kind of like stopped doing this, but like even, and this is in the preface, or I think, or whatever the first part of it, like I was just like highlighting stuff everywhere, like, and and I was reading so slowly because I was like, I need to like remember everything, and then I got through like 10 pages and I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to highlight every single thing. That's just like not gonna be possible. And like I was like, oh, this is gonna be good to talk about, and this is gonna be good to talk about, and I'm like, everything is good to talk about. Like that's not even a thing. I feel like this book in particular is probably like not the best book to do just like a one-off book club on. I feel like it's like designed to be more like sessions. So like one day, we talk about this session, and like I kind of figured that out today, but so it's all good. All right, who else? What did you guys think?
Yeah, I'm a huge note taker, so I have my lovely little orange notebook, but just pages and pages of notes, like quotes I wanted to remember, some of the tasks and stuff that were in there, questions, any of like the little like worksheet thing she does. And she does that a lot in like the desire map too, but I was like, I'm gonna do this and get the most out of it. So I'm a huge note taker, and the way you highlighted in your book, like I can't do that. Like I can't deface my books like that. So I have notebooks just everywhere.
That works. Or what did you think, Tina?
I love the way it was laid out because I agree there was a lot of meat in the content, but I liked how at the end of every session she gave you action items so maybe you can't implement it all at one time because we're all at different phases in our business, but it really helped fine-tune it to where you could kind of pick out those one or two nuggets that you could try to implement and try to take action. Because I read so many books, and then it's like, okay, well, how does that really apply? But this really just was almost like insert plug into my business where I could implement something, soon.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys all do the worksheets that were included?
Most of them.
Not all of them. I started off like, I'm just going to read it through. But then I was like, oh, I should probably do some of these to get something out of it.
Yeah. I didn't do all of them either. My plan is to actually like go through it slower and just like make it more systematic and actually work through and not feel like it, because even we're all super busy, and I thought that it's going to be a fast read. So I'm the kind of person that reads multiple books at the same time, and I have a Kindle, so I read a lot on my Kindle when I'm like commuting or something, or just like on the train for whatever reason. And that's a lot easier, and I don't have this on the Kindle, so it was a lot harder to like keep up with reading it for me. But that's just kind of like personal preference, I guess. I guess I should keep in mind for future. What do you think was the most profound thing that you got out of the fire starter sessions? Like, let's start off with that. Were there any like aha moments? Even from the start in general?
She really like gives permission in a sense to kind of go out of designing your life and your business the way society expects you to. Like you're supposed to do X, Y, and Z and make this much so that you can have, A, B, and C. And there were like TED Talks about how the Apple company operates from Y, and they create a Y, and then they provide products that support people's Ys. So she talks a little bit about like core desired feelings and things like that, and really thrives coming from a good place and feeding those desires, as opposed to having a 2-bedroom condo in the city because that like looks good on the outside, but it's really not fulfilling. And it's what I do a lot with my clients when they have a goal. I'm like, well, what is that 10 pounds going to get you? Is it about fitting in those pants, or is it about lacking confidence? So she really kind of like drove that home, that I'm on the right path, but that I need to do that for me too. And I was just, yeah, it was so profound. The whole core desired feeling she touched on, and totally wasn't at all what I was operating from that, but now way much more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyone else?
Nothing like really sticks out that much, but I just, I mean, I know I gained insight. You know, some of the information, you've kind of seen it packaged different ways by other authors, but then the way she just pulls it all together with like her story and just kind of validating that, you know, sometimes as a business owner, I feel like an alien or in certain circles. It's like, how do you, what do you mean you're going to kind of define what success is and make money at the same time? And it's like, well, I didn't think it was that weird. So to me, there was a lot of validation that, I am on the right track, and all the little worksheets just help fine-tune and hopefully help me get there faster.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's hard to be an entrepreneur in general when your friends aren't necessarily that either. They usually don't even understand like what is even going on, and like a lot of times a lot of my friends don't even understand like the whole personal development journey either. So I feel like it can be pretty alienating in general, but that's why we have all of us and being able to like talk to each other. Irina, what did you think?
Yeah, no, I definitely I was going through it. There's so many things that I'm like, oh my God, I've totally thought that before, but she like puts it into words. So exactly like Tina said, it's like, oh yes, like I've seen this somewhere else, or I've experienced it myself, and she's just kind of like validating and reiterating it all in one place, which is really amazing that it's like a really cool accomplishment for her. And then just the fact that like you're seeing it from different places, and this is not like the only book I've read. Of course, there's like other ones that say similar things, but I feel like this one manages to bring a lot of them together, which is maybe why I felt like a bit overwhelmed too, that it was like, wow, she just like wrote a whole book on exactly what you said, personal development and the entrepreneurial journey, that journey and the entrepreneur. And I want to tell you guys about my favorite worksheet so far. So it's like page 136. It's the Deconstructing Fear. And you just like question the crap out of yourself, or get somebody to help you ask, like, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? And she has this example here, like, why are you afraid of getting fired? And then it's like, because I'll lose my job, because the money is too good, because blah, blah, blah. Because my dad would have one more reason to think I'm never going to amount to anything, and then because I'll never get the love I want from my father. That's like what she wrote here. And then it's like, aha. So that's like the reason. And I also like did this exercise, and it's so simple, but like really, really profound that like for me it was all about like failure. And like, I'll just put this out here. Like, it was all about like what happens if you fail. Like, shit, that's really scary. So like really understanding that like that doesn't mean you are a failure. That's like just, it seems kind of silly when you have it like, I have it written out here. And then I was like, how do I feel? Like, kind of silly. like why would that hold you back? So that was my favorite. Also the most recent worksheet I did, but the others, sometimes I was like, I don't need to answer that question right now. But this one was like, you should really do this.
Yeah, I know that the why exercise is really important. So I've been working with I'm no longer working with her, but the beginning of this year, I started working with a health coach, and she's really great. And one of her like favorite things to kind of get to the bottom of everything is like, oh, we'll play the 5 whys. And we're like, oh God, okay. So I'll like say, oh, I wanna I wanna quit sugar or whatever, and she'll be like, well, why? And why? And I'm just like, I don't know, like, and then finally, we get to the bottom of it. It's like, why? Well, I wanna be accepted. I wanna, feel loved or whatever. And that's like, it's not even about, whatever it was in the beginning. So it's definitely like crazy, and it's a huge aha moment. So like I know the like how big of an impact that is, and I've done it with my own clients too. And, you know, it's, like, annoying at first. It's like, stop asking me this question. Like, I don't know. I already told you. It's like,
Would you always get to the bottom of it in 5 whys? How do you, like, make sure that the 5th why will tell you why?
No, I feel like that's just what she calls it. It's usually, you know, it's 5 whys, but I think it's just, like, knowing that you're going to have to keep going deeper and deeper. Like, you know, you're kind of prepping yourself to just do that kind of inner journey in a way. Yeah, sometimes I feel like there needs to be more whys than just 5, because, you know, sometimes it's not going to be, you know, something's going to be so hidden and so subconscious that you won't be able to get there with just 5, but I think it's a good start. Yeah, especially for people that are completely new to something like this, like, you know, diving into who they are and, like, what they do. A lot of people don't really take the time to understand why, like, how they operate and why they operate, and whether they're operating from fear or from, you know, other emotions. I think it's really important.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't take the time to understand themselves, which is crazy to think, but they don't. I mean, how many people really sit with themselves and take the time to, like, learn about themselves and self-development and self-improvement, and, like, it's a tough thing to do, and it's exhausting, like Irina said. I mean, it's exhausting to do, but it's, like, one of the best things you can do for yourself. I mean, there were, like, a couple quotes and things that she had. You know, if it doesn't light you up, you're not the right person for the job. And I mean, how many people are, like, just miserable because they think they should be, or, you know, it's, why be happy? You know, like, it's, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but, like, why should I be, you know, kind of why should I be happy? It's.
Do you mean, like, there was?
We're supposed to be. We're human.
She had the example in there with, like, the girl that was working for her doing, I don't know, like, various administrative tasks.
Yeah.
And then she hired her as doing something completely different because she was like, she was amazing, but, like, we didn't need her for the other thing. She was way better at, like, this thing. I don't remember what it was. But.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, like, a good example too, but it's, you know, a lot of the examples she mentions are obviously, like, the good things that happen, but it's not always what happens in situations like that, because, like, I know, you know, I think I know a couple of people that would be like, well, actually, like, I just doesn't feel right. I'm just going to tell them, like, I actually would rather do this. Well, it's like, all right, well, you're fired. Like, you have to, I feel like there has to be a little bit more synchronicity, or maybe that's not the right word, but just, you know, I guess if you're, you know, you're working with what you feel is right for you. So, like, giving an example, you know, working in advertising, I used to work in advertising, thought I wanted to do art direction, and I was doing that, and I was like, honestly, you know, strategy is probably the right thing for me. I feel like that's what I'm drawn to, like, that's just what I like to do more, the conceptual kind of, not necessarily, like, the nitty-gritty. And they're like, all right, well, you can go find another job. I'm like, oh, great. Thank you for that. I am now unemployed.
Oh, no.
But, I mean, I guess it all works out in the end, so I think that's really what matters. Really quickly before we move on, I just want to make sure that everybody that's watching right now live knows that there's a little bit of a lag. There's probably 10 or 15 seconds of a lag. Please use the comment or the chat below the video. And if you want to call in and chat with us through a phone, you can do that, and there's information above the video how to do that. You just call number, enter the conference code, and then raise your hand with a 5-star, and then I'll make sure to, you know, unmute you so you can chat with us. All right. Wanted to make sure everyone knows. There was a quote in the Firestarter sessions. I don't remember which quote it was. It was actually 101. So this is something that I see a lot with people, and I wanted to mention that. You know, she talks a lot about, like, guilt and holding on to the past, and I think that's really important to know. So there was a thing, you know, she's talking about being stuck in the past when talking about ourselves, and so this is like, what's your cocktail line? The one word you might describe your brand. your current career challenge, and you can't, and there's a catch, and you can't talk about your past. So basically, she asks people to kind of give a little speech about themselves for like a minute or two, and all these, like this lady that she gives an example of, she started kind of, saying, oh, so I have this company and it's okay, but I've had these issues with money, so I'm kind of doing that so good, and I had to get a divorce, but that's okay because so she was like continually drawing on her past that wasn't healed, and she didn't really address it yet. And so Danielle says, face forward. We want to look ahead with you, look backward, and you lose us, which I think is really important, because then, she gives an example of the same woman just being more confident and just saying, like, this is what I do, and, like, I'm confident, and, just saying it in a different way, saying it more in a positive spin. Like, everything that happens you can learn from. Like, everything's a learning experience anyway. Kind of really emphasizing the positives that are going on and showing that you're moving forward, and that's how people are going to be drawn to you, rather than, oh, I feel bad for you, oh my gosh, I hope that you're going to be okay. So that's something that I see a lot with people, they kind of hold on to what's been going on and kind of, I don't want to say make excuses for themselves when they don't, when they're not doing as well as they thought they would be doing, but I think it's like that thinking that's really keeping them stuck too. And there's a quote here too, intend to shine, you can be a magnet for goodness, even in hard times, if you simply choose to accentuate the positive and focus on where you want to go. So I think that's a pretty good quote too, just in case somebody didn't read it or anything. What do you guys think about that?
I think she just emailed, like, I subscribed to her newsletter, and I think she just emailed something about how, like, don't stay stuck in the past. It's, like, not really relevant, and just, like, look forward. Should see if I can find it. It was really, really like a page out of this book almost.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Did somebody else have something to say?
Just from I'm a licensed therapist, so just from like the psychological standpoint, if you're stuck on something, like if there's something that keeps coming up, then typically there is something from a long time ago. It's being able to move forward, and again with self-development and people who kind of aren't able, willing, wanting to delve into themselves a little more, get to know themselves, people do get really stuck in the past, used for excuses, things like that. So there was some quote, it wasn't in this book, I've just seen it before, and in the past is a nice place to visit, but it's not a nice place to stay. So we do have to like observe where we've been and recognize it and acknowledge it and be honest about it, but then, what are you going to do about it? So I liked that whole thing, and business-wise, I mean, it's really smart. Nobody wants to hear about like what you've done unless it's like the whole glory boarding thing, but yeah, and it just kind of brings you down to when you're stuck on like what went wrong. It's like, no, what are you doing now kind of thing. And business-wise, that's really important, but life-wise too, you can't like move forward from a rear view mirror. There was some quote in there that she put, and it made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I found the blog post, and the tweet, I actually tweeted it. It was, too much analysis creates paralysis. So exactly how you said about like being stuck. Or this is all about getting unstuck. So like just don't think about it too much and move forward. That's kind of what she's saying.
Yeah, kind of just like, evaluate what's been going on, but accept it and just like move on. I mean, heal it, of course. Yeah. I think it's important to like heal as well. Yeah. Anyone else got anything about this topic? Okay. Another thing that I really enjoyed, and I thought it was pretty, I mean, it struck a chord with me in a way, like, I got over it, and I was like, okay. So it's a quote on page 29. I have it written out, so I'm not going to find it here. But it basically, she says, being well-rounded is highly overrated. She basically talks about that you have to approve your weaknesses, accept that you're not good at everything, and then when you do that, you become accessible. People trust you more and are drawn to you. You create a genuine connection and make space for others to shine in what they're good at, and therefore you allow them to be an inspiration as well. And the fact that you don't have to do it all by yourself, you can accept help and you can seek it out, you can get support, and therefore you will be able to give yourself permission to pursue your genius and be in the zone you feel you're best at. So I thought that was pretty, very relevant to me, because I've always felt like I need to be good at everything, and I kind of have had that thing where I'm like a jack of all trades, and it was hard for me to actually find that zone of like genius or whatever you call it, because I always felt like, oh, but I'm decent at this, I'm decent at this, and I'm decent at this, and then she talks about finding your passion and what are you actually really passionate about, and then kind of moving with that. But it was still really hard to like get over the fact that it's okay to not be well-rounded and it's okay to be more of a specialist in something. What do you guys think?
I definitely agree with this. Having an accounting background, it's really hard to keep up with. You can't be a specialist in tax and audit and all the different aspects of it. So you have to pick something and invest those, the personal development dollars. And then also when you narrow it down on what your specialty is, you can get more bang for your buck on your marketing, because of your specialty, you're definitely trying to attract those certain type of customers, and so all of your marketing dollars go to trying to attract them instead of just trying to attract everyone, and then you just end up not being able to serve anyone because you're being too generic. And so I actually, I'm reading another book where he talks about one of the biggest differences between middle class and the ultra rich is middle class, we feel like we have to serve everyone and be so well-rounded, and we need to do website design even though that's not our genius zone. And the ultra-rich, they take the time to look at what are they really good at, and it should be only one or two things, not 10 or 20, and really focus on how can I profit from those one or two, and then outsource everything else, build the team, and find help with everything else. And he talked about that's one of the biggest differences between those two classes. So I definitely tried.
What book is it?
It's Business Brilliant by Louis Schiff. I heard him speak at the Inc. Magazine Grow conference, and it was really good. And that's just one of the things that he mentioned, and it just kind of resonated with me. It kind of validated, hey, sometimes we almost need permission to say, no, I'm going to outsource that. That's not my genius zone, so I am going to. I don't know why we need permission for that. We're our own business owner, but sometimes it's just good to hear the validation from someone else.
Yeah.
I'm totally actually struggling with this right now. So like I know what I'm good at, or I've slowly been figuring that out, but then I feel like, okay, I'm at the very beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, and like at the same time, like I tried getting a VA like once, and I put up like an ad on Elance, and like nobody understood what I wanted. I thought I was really clear, but apparently not, and people like, what did I want? It was something about setting up like my autoresponder or something. I was like banging my head against the wall for like days, and then I was like, okay, this is not worth it. I'm just gonna outsource it. And then people were like, oh yes, like I will build your website, and I was like, what? I don't need a website. I just need this set up. And like I got so many like responses like that I was like, okay, this is like not a good place to look, because everybody seems to be delusional and wants to build a website for me, and it's going to cost. And they were like, by the way, I'm not a website designer, so I'm going to have to hire somebody else. And I was just like, what? So I took a step back, and it's like, I think what she says and what it sounds like Lewis is saying is like it's really good in like theory. I just haven't quite figured out how to like I'm aware of it, but practically that has been very hard for me to implement because it's like I can't just throw money left and right. So how do you outsource without like or how to know what's important to outsource and what you actually don't need?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, totally. I think I mean, for me, it was really hard to get over the fact that I can, because I've always wanted to do everything myself too. Like I've always had that kind of like control issue. So I finally hired I hired an SEO guy for my blog, and I no longer work with him, but I hired him and I hired a social media manager to, just funny because I like specialize in social media, but you know, it's like the nitty gritty kind of like day-to-day kind of stuff that I'm just like, you know, it's not that fun for me anymore. Like I like the strategy kind of aspect of it. And that's where my, you know, genius zone is for, at least for that particular, you know, area. But it was so hard for me to like get over, you know, and actually admit to myself that it's like, yeah, I actually, you know, don't have the time to, you know, be on Facebook 24/7 because I'm on Facebook 24/7 for my clients. So it's like, you know, I want to do it for myself too, and then like the other things I want to do too, and I know what I need to do, but it's just like, don't have the time and don't have all this other stuff. But it was definitely hard to, you know, do, but I think it gets easier with time to like figure out and allow others to help you. You know, when I first started working with a coach too, you know, I thought I could figure it out myself and like everything's gonna be fine. You know, I got this. I've always had this. Like, you know, always were able to move forward, no problem, never an issue. But then, you know, obviously there is an issue because if there wasn't, you know, I would probably be like on freaking the beach right now with like rolling in money, and that's not the case. So, you know, kind of like accepting that you need help and, you know, support, I think is huge. And I think it really changes the ballgame too when you actually feel like you have those people behind you, and then you can really, you know, move forward in a faster pace too.
What did you think was like your first step to letting go of the like control issues?
You know, I think it was just realizing that I just can't do it myself. Like, I was trying to do it myself, and then I was getting so stressed out with just no time to spare at all. Like, I was not even going out. Like, I was working pretty much 24/7, like, all of my waking hours. And I still, you know, work a lot. Hard not to, especially when you love it. But, you know, just figuring, like, every time I would do these things, these little things, I just, like, I wasn't having fun. Like, I didn't like doing this. I knew, and it was really confusing to me, like, again, with the social media aspect, because I love social media, and I love, you know, doing case studies and, like, seeing what, like, more conceptual kind of thinking and, like, coming up with, like, more creative campaigns and, like, strategies and stuff, and I love that. But then the actual, you know, checking my analytics and doing the actual, you know, typing stuff, and then all that nitty-gritty kind of stuff that is a day-to-day kind of task. You know, every time I would do it, I would just dread it, and I would put it off, and sometimes I wouldn't do it, or a couple days in a row, and then, you know, obviously you can see that it's not really working out anymore. You're not, you know, it's just not a part of, you know, what you want to do. If you want to focus on growing your business in the, you know, the strategic way, which is what is really important, and she talks about this here, like passion and strategy and planning is what really, you know, helps the business move forward. And if you can't be in the zone that allows you to be your best, you know, you're just not going to be moving forward. So I think it's really, really, I know I totally just like yapped for 50 hours.
No, but this explains it perfectly. So what would your life be like if you only did what was easy?
Yeah.
And I commented here, boom.
What does it say?
It said boom.
Boom. Yeah. What do you think you're like really stuck on in terms of like letting go?
I guess because there's like infinite, you can hire somebody for like anything, and it's like where am I going to find these people? It's like so hard to find these people. And then it's like, what is it that I really need to outsource? I think it's also defining that, but not really, okay, I can think of what can be outsourced, but it's like prioritizing. And so it's not just like hire somebody, it's like 45 tasks that lead you to actually hiring someone. And it's easy to put them on when they're off, when there's like 45 of them. So yeah. No, but that what you said, actually, it helps. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, it sounds like by trying to do everything, you're actually not doing anything, because you're constantly running back and forth.
Are you being busy, or are you being productive? Like, there's so many people who are so busy, but they're not getting anything done, and I learned that, and it was a really hard lesson to learn. But, you know, stupid things like, I built my new site, I kind of rebranded myself, and then I really want a nice header. I wanted to look professional, and there's a girl in one of my groups, and I was like, can you just do this for me? Am I paying her? Yes, I'm paying her. It was not cheap, but it was important to me. Everything else, the basic stuff on my site, you know, plugins and all that, like, thank you, Cami. That girl knows, she does know a lot. But, you know, like the stupid stuff that somebody wouldn't think was important, and that was important to me, like wanting a professional looking header. But yeah.
That's totally important.
I totally agree.
For so long, you know, I was so busy, but I wasn't getting anything done. And I'm like, all right, what needs to be done so that this can be productive?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I like to do is, if it's a task that normally I know how to do, I like to create a checklist of all the steps, because then that way you're creating like a training manual for the person that's going to come in and replicate those checklists. Because so many times we look at all of our tasks and we hold on to them as if they're our children and we're the only ones that can take care of it. But when you look at it as it's just a checklist, it almost like takes that personal side of it, and you're like, okay, here, I can pass this on to someone, and it can become their to-do list. But it's forcing you to really acknowledge, okay, well, this is going to take me 30 minutes. And then you can start seeing, okay, well, if I start piling those things up, and is this a 20-hour-a-week job or 20 hours a month job? And that really helps you kind of fine-tune what do you really need, and you know what kind of help you need. But you've also got those training materials, because sometimes we resist hiring help because we know we got to go through those one or two people before we find the right one. Then we've got to train them, and what if they quit before we get them trained? Well, having these little cheat sheets kind of speed up that training, and it makes it not as painful.
That's a really good, I'm going to write that down. Cheat sheet.
Me too.
But I went through the same thing. I tried to use Elance, and I tried it a few times. I really just had a hard time with that, and so I feel like it just wasn't the right time. I had so many people telling me that's what you need to do, but I just took it as a sign that it just wasn't the right time for me. And then probably 6 months later, I was blessed with the most awesome part-time employee ever. And so I think you just have to be patient and just know that you're the only one that knows your business. And just know yourself, but also be willing to delegate as soon as you can.
Yeah.
So how did you find this magical person?
It was a friend of a friend. It was a complete accident, but she came so highly recommended, I hired her on the spot. I hired her before I even knew exactly what she would be doing.
Wow.
Because sometimes when you know that there's the right attitude can be trained. And so I've taught her QuickBooks and some of those other things that are easy to replicate. So she's been a really good asset for the team. But I was looking but not looking, and hopefully I will find the same thing.
So we're all going to move to Finland, and Cami takes care of Irina's strategy stuff. Tina can do our taxes and all that accounting, and I can just whip everybody into shape.
Yes, okay.
Get ready for a personal journey going inwards.
Cami, I don't know what you were going to ask next, but I want to know. So on page 88, like her burning questions or burning answers that she asks, she goes through like the I feel powerful when, and she talks about other people's gratitude. The gratitude you receive from others is a reflection of your genius. But when do you guys feel powerful? Like those little quippy things throughout the book really got me thinking, and I probably spent more time thinking and doing that than I did like reading the material.
Mm-hmm. You know, for me personally, you know, so it's kind of hard because I don't notice. It's like weird because I don't notice when people are grateful to me. Like I kind of feel like self-indulgent. Or I try not to do that anymore, but for a very long time I would just feel like, oh, you know, I shouldn't feel like, you know, they're great. It's kind of weird to explain, but I didn't really, I guess, pay attention when people were grateful or, you know, saying like, oh, thank you so much for doing this and this. But like in the past couple of months, I've been really more in tune with like trying to, you know, notice and like be grateful for people being grateful, if that makes sense. Like that's like the first step, I guess. But for me personally, you know, I've always really loved, and that's kind of where, and that's why I know like coaching is the thing for me, is because, you know, every time I'm on a call and I know that I've helped someone at least get them like a little bit, you know, moving forward or feeling like hopeful for the future, or that they can move forward and, you know, just more inspired, and that I created that positive, you know, I started that positive loop for them again. You know, that's what really like jazzes me up, and knowing that I'm that person that's like helping them and serving them in that way, which is funny because I never thought that I never saw myself as a person that likes to serve others. So it was interesting when I started doing this, you know, I was like, oh, this is it. And then actually, side note really quickly, I had a hand analysis done a week ago. And it's life purpose hand analysis, and it's very thorough. And then you like center your face, and she does like the face, and it's very like legit. And a lot of the stuff I like felt naked like throughout when I was reading this. I was just like, wow, this is like, how does she know all this about me? Like she was like digging into my soul and just like taking out all the things. I was just like, how did you know this? Like, did you like? Is there like a Google for souls? I don't know. But the thing. So there's like different schools for each person. So there's like a school of wisdom, school of love, school of service, school of something else, and mine was school of service. So that's like my bigger overarching like thing that I love to serve people. And that was like almost surprising. You know, if it was a year ago, I'd probably be like, there's no way that I like to serve people, because I, you know, very in my head at the time, very just like caught up with my own thoughts. I was like, I don't even think about helping other people because I'm like so just like, duh. But yeah, completely off topic. Actually, not completely, but a little bit. Let's come back.
No, I thought that was totally relevant because like I've been really into archetypes. I don't know if you guys are aware of what archetypes are, but they're like, just to fill everybody in, these patterns, basically these stories that get repeated throughout like centuries. If you look at mythology and like just culture and everything, you see them in Hollywood and you see them everywhere. And I think they're all like, we are social creatures, so they're all in a sense serving in some way, but some more than others. So like whether you serve in a coaching call or you serve through like creating art that, you know, moves people, there's like different ways of serving, and I think sometimes we lose touch with that. I know I definitely have. So sometimes it just takes like one experience to realize like I love people, and then you like come back to it. So I can attest to that because I just had one last week. So they like really brought me back to like out of my head and into my body and into like really just enjoying being with people and trying to find that passion. Now bringing us back to the book, the like what makes you come alive and what feels like the burning questions. So when do you guys feel powerful?
Anyone?
Lori, you don't want to answer?
No, I was waiting for you.
Oh, sorry. I love choosing who I work with. There's so many opportunities out there, and I love having the freedom to, not be rude and disrespectful, but just to say, I don't really think that's the best fit. I really like not being forced to chase the dollars all the time, and just having that. I feel powerful when I can walk away and say, that's just not a good fit for, us right now. And so to me, that's always really good. And then also, just kind of being having the freedom to choose the projects that I want to work on. So even though the consulting side is doing good, exploring other options and, maybe create training materials. I am, the captain of the ship, and it just feels really powerful to be able to change direction and do some business experiments, see what works, what doesn't, and just I love that freedom. It feels really good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about you, Lori?
Yeah, I feel the most powerful when I help somebody, when I know what I'm talking about. Like I would be the first to not turn a client away, but Tina, I understand what you're saying. There was another book, and he talks about like red carpet clients, and there are people out there who will just do anything for the money, but when I have a call with somebody, if they're not self-motivated, if they don't have this huge strong why, I'm no good to them, and I'll tell them I can't help you, it's a waste of your time, it's a waste of your money. So I don't feel powerful when I have to do that, but being able to have those red carpet clients, but having the power to know what I'm talking about and when to say yes and when to say no, and the power to really help somebody, because if somebody wants to do something like get ready for a fitness show, I can't help them. Like that would do nothing for me, and that would definitely do nothing for them, and they would for sure not win. So it's having the power to run your life and make those decisions and help people how you can help them. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a thought and I completely.
Well, I wonder, like, my answer is a bit more, like, not so practical, more, like, up in my head, but I wonder if that's what you guys are all saying, too. It's, like, for me, I feel really powerful when I could just be myself, and, like, I could say what's on my mind, and I see people responding to it, because, a lot of people feel the same thing, but they don't always talk about it. So I've noticed that when I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm really connecting with someone, and it could be a friend or it can be somebody on a more professional level, then it's also like that is power, just like, and I wonder if that's what you guys are also saying, that it's like, you know what you're talking about, and you're also like helping someone, so it kind of aligns with those different things.
Yeah, I think so. I think like connection, and like for me it's like inspiring action, and connection, because you have to connect in order to do that too. So I think it's all like intertwined, just like being able to be free, like what she, her whole theme is like, better to be free than something negative. But yeah, I think that, yeah, whichever page that was. Yeah, totally. I completely agree. Some page, I don't remember. I don't know. But actually I had a question about passion. So we're kind of on this topic too. But a little bit more specific. So going about like the being a specialist and things like that. So I want to read a quick quote that I wrote down. So masters focus on what they do best. They stay in their zone, and the zone is what feels amazing. So what about the good old-fashioned sweat and determination? It's essential, of course, but there is a remarkable difference in slogging to fit the bill and pushing yourself to break the mold. There's being obligated to run hard versus wanting to run hard. There's duty and there's passion, and you can't fake passion. Passion will always move you in the direction of your authentic self. So my question here, like I said, I've always wanted to be well-rounded, and I never really thought like I had a passion even. Like I was good at everything, and I liked doing everything. So it was kind of hard, and that just not right now. It was like, you know, back in the day, not even that long ago. I feel like, you know, not being too in tune with what I really was enjoying too was big. But my question is, have you always had the same passions throughout your life, or do you think passions can shift and change throughout time?
So here's a funny little, I'll make it quick, little anecdote. I knew at 14 I wanted to be a therapist. I had a friend go to jail, and he had a psychologist in jail who helped him, and da 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 da. He was in the wrong time at the wrong place, so let's not go there. But he was in jail. So, but I knew I wanted to help people, and I was like, I want to be a therapist because this guy helped my friend, and he came out just like this. He was good before, but he just came out like kind of a completely different person and changed his life around at 14. So I knew I was going to get my master's, and I knew what I had to do, but not until 2011. So I got my master's in what, 07 maybe, and worked in therapy and I have my license and everything. And after I had my son, I realized that it wasn't just about the mind, that it just had this like evolution of health and fitness and nutrition and things like that. So it had the same I guess foundation, but the other stuff evolved and added in, and I feel so much more powerful, I guess, now in what I want to do, and I know I'm doing exactly what I was put on this planet to do, but the way it evolved, I mean, it's taken years, but I guess I owe that to my son. But it's funny the way things work out. I mean, it always had that same foundation, but it's kind of built, and now it's like leveled itself out, and now I'm like where I need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think your passion can definitely change. I agree with Lori. You know, the foundation is there, but maybe I'm passionate about a new type of client or a new size client, or you know, new accounting software package or something like that. You know, but the foundation is still there. Because sometimes I'll just get bored with it, and I wonder what else is out there. And also because the way the world is, you have to continually change, or you're going to get left behind. And so sometimes the passion just kind of shifts to a different kind of version, so that we can kind of keep up with the change and adapt to, you know, our new clients and the opportunities. So I've always been passionate about helping small business owners, but the way I help them has definitely changed.
And I feel like exactly what you said, that you have to change to keep up with the times. But at the same time, it's like, because you're passionate, it's so easy to change.
Yes.
It's like you want to explore new territory. Yeah. Wait, what was the question? Because I had an answer in my mind.
Have you always
Oh, right. Okay.
passions?
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah, well, I've just figured out my passions, so like then now I'm looking with hindsight in like oh yeah, I like this, and it seemed completely irrelevant, and I just seemed like completely all over the place, but now I understand why I liked it. So like I studied languages. It was like my parents used to ask me, what do you like? And I was like, German. They'd be like, okay, what are you going to do with that? And I'm like, I don't know, I just want to speak German. So I studied business because that was like our compromise. And in my first like introductory course to marketing, I was like, I hate this. It's horrible. And everybody was really excited about this course. Like people from outside business were coming to take marketing. And I was just like, you know, we had to like make a fake product and had a horrible group project or group vibe when like half people didn't do anything and the other half worked like really hard. And then I graduated and I was like, oh, what am I going to do now with my German and business degree? And like not realizing that the languages was really just a key to like, I love people and also like different kinds of people. And when I was young, I wanted to be an actress. And that, like now I'm like, oh, probably to explore people, but I didn't understand it in that way back then. And now I'm here abroad, so I've definitely like uprooted myself to the max, like to a completely different culture that's like has been a crazy adventure, especially like personal development wise. And now I'm going back to these people and languages, and like now I see the pattern. So I don't think that it's changed, but definitely I've been like running around the bush for like 20 years.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Actually, like now that I'm thinking about it, I think I had a theme throughout my life too. So for me, I think it was communication in general, as a broader spectrum. So I used to, well, like I would always draw. I was always like an not an artist. I didn't like make paintings and stuff, but I would always make comic books. And that was kind of like telling a story and, you know, drawing it out. I was drawing like all the time. I remember my mom told me that because I didn't like coloring it in. I just like to communicate. What does it say?
You're an artist and that's that.
Yeah.
Toot your own horn, Tammy. Relax. Be proud of yourself.
Yeah. Well, so, you know, I actually don't draw very much anymore. Oh, did I just go away? That's okay. I'll just keep talking. So I didn't draw all the time. I don't really draw anymore. But, you know, the communication aspect, I feel like stuck through the whole thing. So like I did photography, and, you know, that's a form of communication too, communicating what I had in my mind out to the world. So it's like kind of storytelling in a way, but like it didn't necessarily have a plot line. It was just like an image and like a visual. So that, and then, you know, marketing and then psychology is still like communicating and like being able to like dig deep, and like the marketing aspect, you know, being able to communicate what your business is out into the world and actually connecting with other people and doing that. I thought, you know, I'm just now realizing this too, so it's like, hey.
Actually, you just like said my story as well, because I really love photography. I didn't used to make comics, but I did, like, after moving to Finland, I got my master's in marketing, which was something I never thought I'd study, but then I was like, oh, I understood it all wrong. And like, yeah, that's exactly, it's like you just read a page. Like,
that's awesome. Yay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Does anyone else want to weigh in on this?
Tina.
About the passion?
In general.
I guess I'm good. I mean, I don't have anything else to add.
Yeah. Going back to, I think it was Irina that showed like the quote, if everything has to feel easy. I actually wrote down a quote too, that she quoted Diana Valentine. It's on page 47, and it says, if it doesn't feel easy and juicy, then you're automatically dropping your operation percentage down to about 70%. So I think it's really important too to, you know, stay in your zone and do what feels good to you, because otherwise you're not even doing your best work and from a operation percentage point of view or whatever. Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what you said, Tina, about the, like, we're not a good fit. That it's just like you don't really want to do it, and you're not gonna be the best person for the job either. That it's admitting that is really empowering.
Yeah, and I think people appreciate that too, because, you know, they know that you're being honest and you're not just out there for the dollar. Like, so I've had to deal with this a lot as a photographer, since I did photography for about 5 or 6 years as a freelancer. And I mean, I did a lot of events as well as, you know, other ones, but I always had people coming up to me. I always had people coming up to me wanting to shoot their weddings. And, you know, and weddings are expensive. Like, I could make a lot of money from weddings. But each time I would just say, I appreciate that you would want me to do this, but I don't think I'm the right person for this job. I don't like weddings. It's not what lights me up. Like, I would hate my life if I was there. So it's like, I can give you some recommendations or something if you would like. And I feel like, I personally would probably, it's probably disappointing to people because it's like, oh, I really want you to do this. But I think, if someone did that to me, And I would probably appreciate that too, and knowing that I'm going to be working with the right person for this too, like a specialist again, you know, rather than just like oh, I guess I can do everything. So actually I was talking to a potential client a couple of days ago about this, and she was like, oh, well, you know, I want to be a life coach, and I love this, and I love this, and I want to help them with all of this. And I'm just like, well, you know, kind of like analogy, it's like, so if you're sick with your knee is hurt, are you going to go to the general physician, or are you going to go, and if something's really wrong with it, are you going to go to the knee doctor? Well, you know, the knee doctor is going to really take care of you, and he's going to probably get to the bottom of what's going on and get you on your feet faster than like a general doctor that's like, oh, I do everything. Oh, like, let me do this and this and that. Or if like you wanted to go to, you know, your lady parts get checked out, you probably wouldn't go to the regular your regular doctor either. You would go to.
Well, you do, but then you get a referral anyway, so.
But I guess you wouldn't go to your knee doctor.
They're still directing you somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Kind of going off of that, so there was a page 170. There's a thing about justifying your decisions to others, and I think that kind of segueing into this. So I wanted to know if you guys have ever had to feel like you have to justify or defend your decisions to others, primarily because, you know, it just didn't feel like it would be the right decision to make. So for example, Tina's talking to a client and it's not vibing well together or something, and did you ever have to like feel like you have to defend your decision either to that person or someone else? That I feel like with job opportunities, that's a huge one. Like, have you had to do that? How does that feel for you guys?
I would think that in my business, this is probably comes up most in sales when you're trying to, you know, justify. You've already gone through the conversation of how they've explained what they need, and you have agreed that this is a good match, and then you're trying to talk about the dollars and, you know, close the deal, and that's when you try to start justifying, because the feelings, when you're trying to deal with money, those feelings kind of come into play, and you're trying to get them to give up their pocketbook. So to me, I would think that justifying in my business is mostly with that, just trying to, try to validate and put some statistics or something to, hey, this is going to work, this is going to save you time, or this is going to save you money, and try to justify spending that money and bringing me on board and helping. That's where I feel like I'm trying to explain myself or justify the most. I'm not sure if that, to be honest with you, I didn't read that part, but I'm just wondering if that's what she was talking about, or was she talking about more from a personal standpoint where you're trying to justify the business decisions you make?
Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
I don't really feel like I justify my business decisions since I feel like that's part of being a business owner. You kind of go with what your gut is and experiment. If it doesn't work, adjust and move forward. So I really haven't experienced that part.
Yeah. I think it can be tough for people that are like new entrepreneurs too, when other people are looking at you. I think, when you're starting a business is really frequent, but people are looking at you like, why are you starting a business? Why don't you just stay on your job? And then I feel like having to justify it that way is pretty common for me, I think, since a lot of people don't really understand why would I want to pursue something else. Just go, have a regular job, have a salary, and go and spend the rest of your time just doing whatever it is you can do for fun, or like a little passion project, or not really money specific. But so I feel like that's the most of what I try to do in terms of justification, and it kind of sucks like doing that, because I feel like sometimes like people are almost attacking, but not really. It depends on how they talk about it, obviously, but I feel like a lot of times there's always something that goes behind that too, from their perspective as well. But yeah, Irina, I feel like we lost you for a second because you were like frozen in that little square. Were you there the whole time?
My eyes open. Yeah, I was there the whole time.
Okay. Okay, good. All right,
Lori, did you have something to add?
You know, I will never try and justify myself to my dad because he's very closed-minded and old school and doesn't have Google or Facebook, so I know he'll never see this, and it's okay. But, you know, would I explain myself to somebody that I loved? Yes. But last March I went and saw, oddly enough, Jillian Michaels, who I never really thought I liked, but I felt compelled to go see her when she came to Chicago. So I had my mom come into town and I took her. She talked a lot about why not me, why not, why can't we look good, why can't we feel good, why can't we live our dreams? You know, don't let society feed you the sandwich of self-doubt and self-loathing and just pleasing everybody else. And since that whole thing, I really kind of delved into the whole self-development thing, so I really try not to justify myself. Like I said, there's people that I won't even try because my dad is, you know, older and he would just never understand it. I gave up like a 9-to-5 job to be a stay-at-home mom, and now I get to kind of pursue my dreams, and I would never try and explain that to him. But, you know, to the people I love, I'll be like, this is what I'm doing, and the people that love me support it. But when it comes to, like, business decisions or this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm good at, you know, kind of like, why not me? I've tried to really give up being defensive. Mm-hmm. And because I think it doesn't make you look weak, but I think when you get really defensive, it makes you look like you're questioning yourself. So if somebody asks me something, I give them my answer, and if they ask me more, that's fine, but I try not to defend and things like that because it makes it look like I'm trying to convince myself. So that's been a huge tackle for me.
Yeah. I think something that I recently had to deal with is, so I became a member at the spiritual center that I go to now, and I've never been very spiritual or like religious or anything like that, and neither are my parents. They're just kind of like, oh, I guess we're Catholic, yay, like that's it. But I never was. I was just kind of like trying to figure it out. I was like almost atheist at one point because I was dating an atheist. But then, like, I kind of found myself and started delving into personal development and, like, more of a spiritual kind of, like, law of attraction and, like, metaphysical kind of area. And this place that I go to is very, very much about that. It's very, talks a lot about, like, metaphysical and love, just loving yourself and, like, acceptance and just gratitude to everybody and, you know, being the light for everybody else around you. So it's very, like, positive kind of stuff. And I decided I wanted to become a member, which is, like, you know, it's usually become a member, you kind of, like, stand in front of everybody on a Sunday and, like, they give you a rose. And you're like, yes, I'm here to be, you know, here for the long run. Like, yay, this is my commitment. And I told my parents this, and they kind of, like, freaked out on me. And they were like, why are you doing this? Like, what are you gonna do? It's like a cult. Like, what are you gonna be doing? It's like, it's not a cult. It's not a cult because it's not not worshiping anything. It's just like a place for people to go and be happy and spread love. But okay. But they were like attacking me so bad. Like I wasn't like defensive. I was kind of like, well, it feels good. It feels right for me. This is, you know, I feel compelled to do this, and I feel like this is the right path for me to take. And sorry if you don't, you know, if you don't feel like it's right for me or for you, you don't have to do it. I'm not asking you to do it. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. And it's like, I know a lot of people struggle with, you know, having people like almost antagonizing them too. So yeah, it's like sometimes it's hard to like stand your ground and like really not be swayed or, you know, just actually follow what feels good for you. I think it can be hard sometimes, but I think it definitely pays off in the long run too.
I think one of the most challenging things is when you've decided what not to do and you haven't decided what to do. because then it's a lot harder to stand your ground because you're like, I really know I don't want to do this. And then people are like, so what do you want to do? And you're like, I don't know yet, but
Not
it's
that.
like a necessary step. Yeah, exactly. Not that. So it's like a necessary step to take to step away. But then sometimes it takes a while to like figure out what you replace that with. And I feel like that's maybe something more, I don't feel like I've had to justify myself in the like, I want to do this. It's been more like, I don't want to do this. And like, I'll get back to you on like what I want to do. So then it's also very hard to be confident, even though I'm confident. I know in my like, what she says here in the same part, like it just doesn't feel right. And that's like, you know, the elegance of just saying it just doesn't feel right. So like when I was working in the marketing department in the corporate world for a year, and then it didn't take me a year to figure out that it just doesn't feel right. But then when I left, like it just, you know, how do you explain that to people? Like, well, you just got started. You need to work. You need to pay your dues. I'm like, yeah, but it just doesn't feel right. I think I need to take it in another direction. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people don't really get the, you know, why would you follow your heart? Like, why would you do that? That's not logical. It's not where the money is. Like, I feel like a lot of people are, you know, very, yeah, I feel like, you know, you see that very often. So I want to, we'll probably chat for like 15 more minutes because I don't want to take up too much of everybody's time. But I want us all to turn to page 172 because I think this was fun. I think this was like a fun one. And it's all about the stop doing list, so like the stop it. So 172, did I say one or did I say two? Because I meant two.
You said two.
Okay, good. So she has like different things that she suggests for us to stop doing so we can, you know, feel good and not live through life, you know, with things that suck and just really being in our zone and feeling good all the time and doing the things that we love doing. So I think that some of these things were really cool. Like she has a list, you know, stop checking your email obsessively, which is like right here, totally. Yeah, I like made a commitment. Like, okay, I can't be checking my email all the freaking time because it takes up so much time. And then it's kind of like what Lori was saying in the beginning. Like you feel like you're doing stuff all the time, but you're just really being busy and not productive. Like you don't need to be checking your email every minute. Like it's just like they can wait. Another thing that was here, like stop doing it alone. I mean, you know, that's kind of what we were talking about earlier too, is admitting that you can get help. What does that say? I will stop
doing things.
Yay!
I will stop doing things alone.
Awesome. Good step forward.
Sorry, keep going.
A huge thing for me is stop subscribing, and I actually had to unsubscribe from a lot of newsletters because I feel like a lot of I mean they were just, and then you know my inbox just keeps getting like overflowing, and I feel like, oh my gosh, I have to go through all of this, and I know this is all great information, and it's just like overwhelming, and I think that kind of ties into the fact that it was moving me in the direction that I felt like I should be doing these things, but it wasn't necessarily like where I felt like was right for me to do. So, you know, I wasn't necessarily feeling like authentic or like driving by, you know, this, because I subscribe to a lot of like marketing people too, and it's like, well, this is, you know, and then I understand that because I teach that too, and this is what I do with my marketing clients. You know, it's like conversion and all these things, and it's like, okay, so I have to do this and I have to do this, and it's like, and all this like overflow of information is huge, and it, you know, happens on a day-to-day basis, and there's just no capacity for me to even think creatively or like listening to what my heart is telling me to like write about or like post about or just, you know, which direction to go. So I think, you know, keeping that inbox a little bit less full is a huge one. I definitely unsubscribe from a lot of.
But I would almost say like not just stop unsubscribing, but like make it more of a habit to unsubscribe and like not stop subscribing, but make it more of a habit to unsubscribe. So like test it out, and like I also have the exact same problem. It's like, oh, all about like SEO and all this stuff that I should be like listening to or following, and then I'm like, okay, every time I get an email from this person, I feel bad because it's like I'm not doing it, and then I mark it as unread for later, and then I have like 20 of them until I freak out and delete them all. So so then look at like who do you like hearing from, you know, like, and then just go with that and unsubscribe from everything else. And I just had this thought yesterday, so I'm really happy you brought this up. Now we can talk about it.
Yeah. And I almost like felt bad because like I know some of these people too, but it's just like it's just not the right time for me to, you know, you have great stuff that you're coming out with, but I just like don't have the mental capacity to read anymore. It's like I wasn't opening the emails anyway. That's like, you know, some people get really upset when others unsubscribe. It's not something you have to just get over.
Yeah.
And, like, yeah.
And we've seen that like in the B school community, like someone will say like, oh my God, you know, these people unsubscribed, like I'm torn. Whereas I'm thinking like, okay, I know a lot of people don't read my emails, so please, like I want them to unsubscribe because I'm paying like per email right now. So like, it's just like, if you don't read it, just, you know, get rid of it. And then I don't have to pretend that like, you know, not only pay for it, but also like, oh, I have this many subscribers or whatever. So it's like, if it would be nice to know like, who is actually engaged and just keep those people so you can focus on them.
I totally agree with you. I consistently do like purges in a way. Like I see all the people that haven't opened an email from me in the past, like whatever amount of emails I sent, and I'll send them an email saying like, hey, if you don't click this link in this email, I'm gonna be deleting you from my list, just so you know, like heads up.
Really?
Yeah. Because, like, I don't want to pay for them. They're never opening the email. Maybe it's, like, maybe they're not using this email anymore. Maybe they're just, like, maybe it's going to spam all the time. And I just, like, I don't want to be paying for the people that are not ever going to buy from me anyway. Like, what's the point of having people on your list just for phone numbers? Like, that doesn't matter, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I probably unsubscribed to at least 20 people in the past 2 weeks. I made it like my mission when I read this list. Everything else, I'm like, I like to do everything else. But that was like, I need to clean up my inbox. So every time I get an email now, I open the email and write down to the unsubscribe at the bottom if it's not something that like I've been reading anyway and just been deleting. That was tough.
Yeah.
What else is on here?
All right. What on the next page, 173, there's a she says, you know, look back on your year and get very clear about what sucked, what didn't work, what got mired in resentment, felt on a bunch of other words I can't pronounce, weighed you deadly down. All the above activities serve only to make you busier, all put you out of the zone of your true strengths. So she like asked you to make a list. What will you stop doing effective immediately? So what did you guys put down? If you didn't do it, you know, do it right now.
One of the things that I've stopped is I've stopped going to so many local networking events and trying to meet business owners, because I've found that a lot of the lunch and learns, you have 30-second conversations, but you've spent 2 hours of your day, and then you feel like you need to write a nice to meet you email, and that ends up being, you know, 2.5 hours. And so I've decided recently to stop going to those general networking events for the masses and really drilling in on who have I met within the last year where they've shown an interest, where there's going to be a two-way street relationship, and just really focus in on those 20 or 25 relationships and build those where I'm learning about them and vice versa, instead of having all these superficial short conversations that really are not maximizing my time. And so that's something, of course, sometimes you gotta, you know, I still have to fulfill some commitments, but that's definitely something I'm trying to work out of my system.
Interesting. I'm kind of glad you brought that up because I've been looking at attending more networking events.
Me too.
The key is to look at the membership roster. Is your target market even in the group? Because you'd be surprised that sometimes, you know, even if they have 100 people in the group, if only 2 members are really who you want to, you know, get to know, that might not be the best use of your time.
Yeah. It's a good tidbit.
It also sounds exactly like the email thing, but just for like face to face. Like instead of getting 100 emails, you know, you focus on a few. Instead of meeting 100 people, you focus on a few. I love that.
Yeah. Quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've just found that in my personal life too. I won't go too much into it, but it doesn't matter how long you've been friends with somebody if the reciprocity isn't there. You know, business-wise, personal-wise, things like that. It's tough, and it's not like you have to make the decision, but as you grow as a person, the people that are going to be there for you are going to be there, and they're going to walk alongside, and everybody else is going to kind of fall behind you, and it's not about being better, and it's just you're at a different place. So business wise and personal relationships, it was about like letting go of the people that I was spending time not getting anything from, and not in a selfish way, but what is the benefit in my life. And it was a waste of time. I was busy doing nothing trying to chase them down, and it was just like a client, you know, not opening my emails. I was like, all right, well, cool. It's like sending text messages that don't get read. So it was, I guess I'm along the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stopped feeling guilty for that because I meet so many people. Like I said, I love people, and then I feel like indebted to them somehow. Like, oh, now we're friends. We have to keep in touch because I just love everybody. And it took me a really long time to figure out how to just love everybody and not necessarily have to keep in contact with them all the time. So like my friends in Canada, because I'm from Canada, we don't email all the time. Right, but when I go there, I see them, and that's like we have that time together then. And then when I'm here, I don't need to be updating them about my life all the time and spending all this time writing emails. So we just like don't talk that much. But of course, if it's like, oh, thinking of you, something, just send it, and you don't have to expect anything back either. But like really coming to terms with like being okay with that took me like years. And this is recent, so I'm really glad you said that, Lori, because it sounded a lot like what I'd been dealing with as well.
Yeah. All right, I think we're gonna start winding down. Do you guys have any like last minute thoughts that you want to say to anybody about the book? If anyone hasn't read the book, what would you tell them about it in terms of like, do you recommend it, things like that?
I would definitely recommend it. It's a great way to, there's so many self-help, time management, organization, find your passion. There's so many different books that are already in this one resource. And so to me, if you're just starting out, this is definitely a must read, because you will start off, I wish I'd had this when I started. This would have been a really great tool to have.
Ditto.
Yeah, totally recommend it. Oh, sorry, Finland.
No, that was no. No, just ditto. You said it perfectly, Tina. Yeah, go ahead, Lori.
I don't remember what I was going to say.
Sorry.
Good job, guys. Good job. Yeah, I definitely recommend the book too. I love Danielle Laporte. I think she's a genius. She's like so brilliant. I just like I can't even like understand how she's so smart. Like she's so amazing. I can't even like know how one person can be so amazing and balled up and crazy. Anyone else have anything? I have 2 books that I want to suggest for next time, and we can do a vote and see which one we'll pick for next time. So before I do that, any last thoughts?
She pretty much. Wait, hold on, Finland. Real quick. She puts. I think you said it too, Irina. She puts into words what we should know as human beings, which is you are the expert on you, and who you are trumps what you will sell. So she pretty much like gives you the steps, but really gives you the full-on blown permission to like be you and pursue who you want to be, and your passion will drive your authentic self and all that. So yeah, you are the expert on you. I have that written in like 4 different places, and I just love it. So yeah, read the book.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to give 2 suggestions that came up the most from all the recommendations that I got from people. And I'm going to say it, and I want all the people that are watching right now, there's not that many people watching, there's a couple, and I want, if you want to contribute and say which one you have a preference for, make sure to type it into the chat box under the video on the page. And, you know, once I'm done with reading a little bit about the 2 books, I want you guys to, you know, say your vote as well. Cool? So let me do a screen share really quickly so you can see. Okay. Can you see this?
No. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh.
Is it showing up okay? Yes?
Yeah.
Speak! Okay, so the first one is Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, Mastering the Inner Game of Wealth. And this is a book by T. Harv Eker. It has pretty much, you know, 4.5 stars, a crap ton of reviews. So it says Secrets of the Millionaire Mind reveals the missing link between wanting success and achieving it. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to get rich easily while others are destined for a life of financial struggle? Is the difference found in their education, intelligence, skills, timing, work habits, contracts, luck, or their choice of jobs, business, or investments? The shocking answer is none of the above. In the groundbreaking Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, author says, give me 5 minutes and I can predict your financial future for the rest of your life. He does this by identifying money and success blueprints. We all have a personal money blueprint ingrained in our subconscious minds, and in this blueprint, more than anything, that will determine our financial lives, and so on and so forth. You can read about that a little bit more. That's option 1. The book number 2 is War of Arts, Break Through the Blocks and Win Your Inner Creative Battles. And this is a book by Stephen Pressfield, has also 5.5 stars. And it says, think of the War of Art as tough love for yourself. Since 2002, the War of Arts has inspired people around the world to defeat resistance, to recognize and knock down dream-blocking barriers, and to silence the naysayers within us. Resistance kicks everyone's butt, and the desire to defeat it is equally as universal. The War of Art identifies the enemy that every one of us must face, outlines a battle plan to conquer this internal foe, then pinpoints just how to achieve the greatest success, so on and so forth. All right, so anyone has any thoughts? Looking at the chat box right now, and before I'm going to take votes from you guys, I just want to bring back to me. Cool. So, all right. Let's go with Tina. What's your vote?
I probably the War of Art sticks out to me the most.
Yeah. All right, Lori?
I would say it's Secrets of the Millionaire Mind.
Okay. Irina?
I'm biased because I've read The War of Art.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was awesome, and it's a really quick read, so that you have pages where it's like just, you know, this much of the page is written. I think I read it in like 2 days, and it's one of those books you can read over and over and over again. It's not as jam-packed as the one we covered today,
yeah.
But the other one sounds interesting as well. So dare I say tie?
Okay, I'm gonna give it like 1 more minute. The War of Art says Adriana. There's another B School book club doing the War of Arts right now. ... So, do we care that another group is doing the War of Arts right now?
We don't care what other people are doing.
Yeah. I would
It
say
matters what we're doing and what your followers are doing.
What feels good, guys?
We just read this book, so we don't care what everybody else is doing.
We
yes.
got to do what feels good.
What feels good? All right. I'm kind of at a tie too, so this is tough. All right. Let's do the War of Art.
Okay.
And then we can do Millionaire Mind maybe next time. Lori.
Or maybe by then Danielle will write another book that we can all read.
Hopefully it won't take us that long to read this. But I actually have both of those books. I have The Millionaire and I have the War of Art, both of them, because I was like, I like to buy books a lot, and I just kind of sit there. So and I'm like, I'll get to them. So I need that kick in the butt. So yay, kick in the butt happening. Awesome, cool.
It's a good choice.
Yes, The War of Art is the next book. Haven't decided on the date yet, so definitely stay tuned for that. Before we jump off, let's tell everybody where everybody can find you on your like, what are your websites? Everybody.
I can go first. I'm www.languagecatalyst.com. I have a blog there.
Yay!
Are you on Facebook too?
Yes. Oh, yes. I'm on Facebook. My name, Irina Privet. If you can write it out somewhere, that would be great. I'm sure it's somewhere, right?
Yeah, it's on the post too.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm on Twitter at Irina Privet, just one word. And that's 2 I's, no E's. Yes, so please follow along.
Tina, what about you?
Mine is panoramicbusinesssolutions.com. And I've got Twitter and YouTube and Facebook. All of those links are on my homepage.
Awesome, awesome. Lori?
I'm at breakthroughmindandbody.com, and then you can just search Lori Streator on Twitter and Facebook, and I think, Twitter and Instagram is Lori Superfoods.
Sounds good. All right, thank you so much, ladies, and thanks everybody that joined and that's watching.
Cam, what about you?
KamilaGornia.com. And my Twitter name and Instagram and Pinterest actually is XOKammy with KAMMIE. So that's that. And yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody for joining me, my beautiful and wonderful co-hosts. I really appreciate you being here, and I appreciate everybody being and chatting with us live. And everyone else that's watching the replay, totally appreciate you as well. And I hope that you all enjoyed the book. And hopefully I will see you on the next live event as well for the War of Art. All right, guys.
Yay!
Yeah. So I'll chat with you another time.
Thank you for organizing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, awesome.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Good night.